This meeting to order. Shauna, roll please.
Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Redlin.
Here.
Showalter.
Here.
Archer. Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you everybody for being here tonight. Appreciate having a crowd for us. Do we have anybody listed for public comment?
Yes, there's one person signed up as well as one person.
That's on the agenda.
Okay. Who's first?
Okay.
Introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like to talk about.
My name is Zach Valentine. I'm the district manager for Break Time Corner Markets and Vape Time that we have 2 locations here in Goodland, Kansas. I came to the meeting as regard to the adult entertainment proposal that you'll have in front of you that was passed by the zoning commission to you guys a couple of weeks ago. A few concerns on the licensing and fee structures that are being written into the code from the zoning commission. They're proposing a $250 application fee and a $2,000 a year license fee for entertainment businesses. I wanted to know if there was going to be a variance procedure versus a store like ours, a vape store that started this process. Are we going to be listed as an adult entertainment establishment? And if so, is Walmart going to be listed as an adult entertainment establishment and have to follow the same rules and guidelines for the application and yearly license fee as we're being asked to do? Also, they're currently selling adult novelty items in Walmart now. May I pass out some information to you guys?
Sure.
So in the examples given in front of you, that was printed this morning from the Walmart.com website. Those are in store in Goodland right now. And if you look at the bottom, it tells you what aisle they're located in under each item and if they're available for sale and the price. And it says in stock G27. So they're currently already selling these items. They're the same exact items that we are looking to add into our inventory to expand our product line. We are already a 21 plus location. You can't get in our store unless you're 21. Walmart, you can be 2 years old. Walk in that store with your parents and walk past that case and see everything in that aisle as well. So if we are asked to become an adult establishment, I'd like to see if Walmart's going to have to pull their products until the license and application go through, if it goes through, or if it's only other businesses that have to do it instead of Walmart. I've been working with code enforcement team here in Goodland since we opened in January 6th of 2025 in regards to all the items that are in our store. And when I called about this, they laughed. And I called the courthouse first because I didn't know who to call. My company asked for us to go ahead and do this. So I just wanted to go over a couple of things that they're already selling and show you guys that it's already been in the town. And I checked, they've had them in there for at least 3 years. So they've been here. It's nothing new. So I don't know if there's a variance for stores that are going to be having it or an adult establishment like a strip club, if there's going to be a line drawn for which that is. Also, they said in the zoning committee that you would have to be 21 years of age or older to work to sell adult novelty items. How many employees are at Walmart that are not 21? So if this passes the way that it sits, will they be expected to terminate all the people under 21 that are currently working in our location because they all have access to adult novelty items that they can sell? All of our staff is currently 21, so that would not apply to us, and we'd be able to move forward with that as well. Does anybody have any questions for me? The inventory in our store would be less than 1% is what we're looking to add. There's 700 vapes in different flavors and brands. So this is a minute addition to our inventory. But I appreciate your time and thank you for consideration in approving the whole bill to pass with slightly some changes, just so that we can, and other businesses are going to be able to expand into Goodland without having a lot of issues.
I do have one question. I was just curious of the suggested parts of the ordinance. Are there parts of it, I mean, other than the ones you just mentioned, are there other ones that you take issue with, or is it just?
It's mostly just the licensing, and because I could, like I said, a person-to-person establishment like a strip club, I can see a $2,000 a year license, but if you pass it the way that it is right now, Walmart's going to be asked to do $2,000, and I think they might have an issue with it as well, especially if it's just the adult novelty items and nothing else. But if it passes and we pay $2,000 to become an adult establishment, they're going to turn it into an adult establishment, and I don't think that benefits anybody. But that's the only thing. It was just licensing and fees.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you, going through the process with us. This is definitely the first time that we've had experience with, working through an ordinance like this before. So as you know, the zoning commission or the planning commission makes the recommendation to us, then we talk about it, and it's ultimately up to us how the ordinance is passed and what the language is. So we appreciate getting your feedback.
I appreciate
glad
you.
to be able to hear from you. So
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
did you say we had somebody else, Jay?
Goodland Arts Council.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm China Mangus. I'm here on behalf of the Goodland Arts Council. A few things have arisen the past several years for the Arts Center, and I know you guys own the lease of the building. We are having an open discussion meeting next Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the Arts Center, and it's just kind of to discuss the future of the Arts Center. So if you guys are more than welcome to come, any of the public who is interested in the Arts Center, they're more than welcome to come. We're just trying to get an idea of what the future holds for us. So,
What time did you say it was?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock at the Arts Center?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
Anybody have any questions for him?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
April 30th.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. No other public comment. We'll move on to proclamations and presentations. We have the Arbor Day proclamation. Kent, do you have anything that you want to lead off with here?
No, this is an annual proclamation we do, and it announces when we'll hold the Arbor Day celebration, and this year we'll be at the Big Easel. Danny helps us put it on. He might want to say a word or two regarding that.
We're going to celebrate Arbor Day Friday, 30 at the Mango Easel. So everyone's welcome.
Okay. Thanks, Danny. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and read this proclamation then. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas Goodland has been recognized as Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for 46 years and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now, therefore, we, the City of Goodland, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of Goodland, and encourage all citizens and businesses to join in celebration, therefore, and we urge all citizens to plant trees and promote the well-being of this and all future generations. I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Goodland, Kansas, to be affixed on this, the 21st day of April, 2025. Thank you, everybody. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A is the 4/7/2025 Commission meeting minutes. Item B is appropriation ordinances 2025-08, 2025-08A, and 2025-P08. We have any questions or concerns on the consent agenda?
I move that we approve consent agenda items A and B.
A motion by Commissioner Myers,
Second.
a second by Commissioner Redland. Roll please, Sean.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Thank you. Move on to item number 5, ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 1796, an ordinance adopting and amending sections 19-202, 19-501, 19-502 of the City of Goodland Municipal Code to adopt and amend definition, use table, and use standard for adult entertainment establishments. Kent?
This is something that, as the gentleman earlier from Vape Time said, was brought to our attention earlier this year, and for the last couple months, the Planning Commission has been working on 2 different ordinances. This is the first ordinance for your consideration. It's Ordinance 1796, and it's regarding amendments to the zoning ordinance regarding standards for, well, basically in a definition, use, and then amending the use table, and then the use standard for the adult entertainment establishment. Now, I'll start this off by saying that the procedure, as listed in the city code, states when, and this is just a reminder for y'all, regarding the zoning ordinance, they've held a public hearing and then they recommended the ordinance for approval by the city commission. When the planning commission submits a recommendation of approval or disapproval of such amendment, and the reasons therefore, the city commission may adopt such recommendation by the ordinance or override the planning commission's recommendation by a 2/3 vote of the membership of the city commission. So 2/3 vote, that means at least 4 would have to vote in favor. Or return such recommendation to the planning commission with a statement specifying the basis for the city commissioner's failure to approve or disapprove. So you got one of those 3 options, and then when it returns to the planning commission, then they can recommend again, and then you can, by a simple majority, either adopt or revise or amend the ordinance. So those are the options before you. The zoning ordinance, it had a definition, and I included that in the CCCF there beforehand. First of all, it kind of had a contradiction in terms a little bit in that, and that's why Walmart it's not a contradiction in terms, it's for a full adult entertainment establishment. In the use standards, in the 502 section, it said it was prohibited. But then in the definitions, it basically stated that the adult entertainment establishment is any business or premise or establishment, including all the different types, adult bookstores, adult motion picture theaters, or adult cabarets, adult live performance, adult bookstores. In order to qualify as adult entertainment establishment, it needed to have 30% or more of its annual gross receipts derived from these type of activities. Or it could have 30% or more of its inventory on hand anytime consisting of this type of materials. Or 30% or more of its floor area. It was 30%, 30%, 30%. So, and then it went on to specific sexual activities. So that was in the definition. Well, when we started this process, we had just gone through a bunch of stuff with the zoning where we had different rules that were in the definitions. That's really not where it should be. It should be in the use standards, so people can find it, what it's regarding. So that was one of the goals of this ordinance. So the ordinance that the Planning Commission recommended comes forward, and it revises the definition. And it has the adult entertainment establishment as part of one of the definitions. And per our city attorney, we put the entire list of definitions in the ordinance. So there's nothing else changed within the definitions of section 202, other than the definition of adult entertainment establishment, which includes the basic premise: any business premise or establishment, including without limitation, adult arcade, adult bookstore, adult novelty store, adult video store, adult motion picture theater, adult mini motion picture theater, adult cabarets, or adult live performance theaters. And then it goes on to describe or provide a definition of each of those categories. That's the only thing that changes within the definition. So that section of the ordinance, the only thing that's being changed is adult entertainment establishment. From the 30%, 30%, 30% thing to this thing. That's what changes in the definition. So then you scroll on down past all the definitions, which is 12 pages or something like that. Probably more pages than that, but. Then you get to section 2, which is the City of Goodland Municipal Code, section 19501, the use table. And as Josh is scrolling to there, it basically says it would be a conditional use within C1 zoning district. And we wanted a conditional use so that it would come to the Planning Commission, any store that wanted to do the type of thing, just like the gentleman had stated earlier. They wanted to provide this product so that it would come there. We don't currently have this in the code. We state it's prohibited, but that you only qualify as adult entertainment establishment if you meet the 30% threshold. So that's what's listed here, and that's the only thing that's different, that's added to the use table. That's all that section 2 does. The conditional use permit is a separate little process, just gets approved at the Planning Commission. And then section 3, it says the use standard. Instead of saying the adult entertainment establishments are prohibited, it states the adult entertainment establishments may only be in a C1 general business district zoning classification under the zoning ordinances of the city. And then with the following requirements, or it complies with the following requirements and restrictions. No adult entertainment establishment may be located within 1,000 feet of any of the following. And it lists those items: the licensed daycare center, a school, a public park or playground, religious institution, and a boundary of a residential district, or any other sexually oriented business as to which the license is required under this ordinance. So those are the restrictions, and that's what's listed within the ordinance. So those are that's all that's within this zoning ordinance. Now, the 1,000 feet, the gentleman asked earlier regarding Walmart. Walmart is within 1,000 feet of the ball fields. It's about 550 feet per Zach's estimation through the GIS.
That goes from property line to
Property line, not actual building or the ball fields themselves, that's property line to property line.
So that's one issue regarding it. The other is the other issues deal with the licensing of the ordinance, the licensing ordinance. But so that's what this ordinance has proposed. is recommended to the city commission from the planning commission.
With the change in the definitions, does that make Walmart an adult entertainment store as well?
If they wanted to sell this type of material, yes,
Which they do,
correct.
so they would have to,
They would have to abide by the ordinance, yes.
is that gonna cause an issue with Walmart?
Haven't asked them. I'm sure it will, but I haven't asked them, haven't received any communication.
And I would say that, no matter, what version of this we pass, whether it upsets one group or the other, that, to me, is not a concern of this body. This body makes a decision based on each individual person that's gonna make the vote, but whether or not it upsets one group or the other, that shouldn't be a consideration. I think one thing we need to keep in mind is whether or not the ordinance that we pass is something that passes legal muster. If it's something that we pass that's gonna hold up in court, then that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm nervous about. I don't wanna receive any sort of lawsuits from Walmart and us changing our zoning on them.
Yeah, again, I think if we make a good faith effort to treat people fairly, what comes may come, but, in the end, we're gonna try to figure out what part of this ordinance makes sense. We're gonna take into consideration what the planning commission has given us, and we're gonna make a fair decision, and I think as long as we stick to those principles, we'll be all right.
You might want to ask if City Attorney Kling has any additional comments.
And don't get narrow-minded either. It's not just Walmart. It's anybody who sells any of these products, right? So if there are contraceptives that are sold, that is obviously for that activity. So your gas stations, your pharmacies, all that stuff. Depending on how you would craft this ordinance, it will apply to all of those if that's the way that you pass it. Yeah.
Yeah, however we pass this ordinance, obviously, it's gonna be, the city has to treat every business within the city limits fairly, and everybody plays by the same rules, so we're not passing an ordinance for one group of people versus the other, we're passing it for the entire community. So I'd certainly say I feel bad that this is a conversation we're having now, and it's probably an ordinance that we should have had in place probably a long time ago, but, would have helped not keep the waters quite as muddy as they are right now as we try to navigate our way through it, but I guess I would, and I know that you probably already have, but just so we're on the record, Jake, you have reviewed this. It's your opinion that what the planning commission has passed is defendable in court, or is suggesting to us is defendable in court? Is that a fair question to ask?
It is not a fair question to ask. I guess when you get down to it, I always tell you there's a legal realm and there's practical realm. I do not find this very practical. Legally speaking, there are opinions, right? That's the very point of them, right? That's why, again, there are very few black and whites out there, but I will tell you, the way that this is crafted, I believe it is a little impractical. Doesn't mean you can't have restrictions, doesn't mean you can't put something together that, quite frankly, has already been put out there, which was suggested many times as well. So, my take on it is, legally speaking, if you did it and you applied it across the board to everybody exactly the same, most likely you pass legal muster. Practically speaking, it becomes almost impossible. So,
That was exactly the answer I was looking for, thank you.
Why are they moving away from the 30% guided, wordage?
Me would be the best reason. I would have to go in and count every individual item on their store to see if it was within the 30%, or figure out if what they had on the floor area is exactly 30%, or whatever else 30% rule they would have to follow. So this is just making it more black and white, easy, this is what it is. We're not having to figure out square footage, how many items they're holding in their store on the floor.
That's one reason. The other reason is that the state, that blanket statement of having it prohibited carte blanche, when there's court opinion saying specifically you can't say that, that is the reason, one of the,
Another big reason.
another big reason that they went ahead with some type of ordinance in order to correct that within the code.
Is there a way we could do like a percentage of what's sold yearly? Kind of fits you into this licensing and into this zoning? You know what I'm saying? Like less than 5% of your stuff is sexually oriented.
I get that,
Yeah.
but again, it becomes a little bit of an impractical thing. Again, if you're a new business, what
Yeah.
are you going to present to show that that's what you do or do not qualify under? So,
Yeah.
Well, the 1,000 feet throws me off, because if we, like you say, if we had to be fair to everybody, the hospital, the pharmacy, the hospital hits
Every single
every single one of those.
I think on the definitions though, well, yeah, it wouldn't have anything within the hospital, but there's nothing in the hospital, well,
The pharmacy is what I'm thinking.
even the pharmacy. I mean, I respectfully disagree with City Attorney Kling as far as contraception being qualify among the categories listed here.
Okay.
That's extending it. But as far as within these, as far as what other, and this is basically using examples from many communities that have gone ahead with this type of ordinance across the state of Kansas. These categories that are listed are regarding specific, certain types of businesses. So, a pharmacy is not this type of commercial establishment. Now, it may, again, like Jake just said, there's black and white, and then this realm is, until there's an actual court decision, it's not quite there, but.
Well, in gas stations, I don't know if Casey's does, but I know gas stations will sell like sex pills and stuff. That would probably fall under this.
could be Mountain Dew.
It could, we're going all
It's a gray area. It's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot
It-
too.
It starts getting into a lot of, I know it when I see it. This is what the Supreme Court famously said. So, way back in the 1960s, so.
Sanity versus art. If you guys want to stay here for 3 hours, I can tell you all about it. But the difficulty is, it almost gets to the point when you're trying to be so all-encompassing that it becomes very difficult then to delineate what the intention is. That's where you're talking about your gray area is. It's like, well, that's not really what we meant, whatever, right? It happens, though, right? It happens. All I can say is, this isn't new. We're not the first town or city to have this. So there are codes that are out there that are perfectly fine, but that's not what happened here.
So it sounds like we might need some reworking on this.
Yeah, I would agree.
It just sounds like this maybe isn't gonna work quite like it needs to, this specific ordinance.
And should some businesses that might be in question be told about this before it becomes an ordinance? if that's what we're doing? Or,
Well, there's certain, I'll put it this way.
okay,
Goes back to it, right? That's why we have public hearings, we have all that.
Right, no, I
Again,
get that.
You as private owners are really responsible to go,
yeah.
make sure you're being compliant,
Well, I
right?
understand that, but yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. That's a kind of gray area.
Could a guy include it,
Legally, practically.
that contraceptives are not in here? They're excluded from this ordinance?
There could, there could be something like that if you have specific instructions.
Right.
And just like I started this by saying that, the options to you on the zoning ordinance is to, and I'm just saying it in the order that it's written, not that
Right.
any preference on my part or staff's part regarding this. It just states that you can pass it, or you can override the recommendation of the planning commission by a 2/3 vote, or you can return such recommendation to the planning commission and given your reasons why you don't want to move forward with it. And if that's the case and that's what you want to do, which it sounds like there's obviously hesitation with the ordinance in its current form, you should probably return it to the planning commission with recommendations for things to look at.
Did the planning commission seek out other cities or places that have an ordinance like this? And if so, where did we go to find the information?
We presented them information on between 12 and 15 Kansas cities. That's where we started with. And then we went over section by section on a number of things. We also had assistance with, from our planning consultant, Barb, because she's worked through on these different types of things with a number of communities. So that's where we started, and this was the general consensus of where they ended up. But that doesn't mean they won't take additional inputs. They obviously had to work through it, 3 or 4 consecutive months, and that was a lot of discussion. Obviously, from the communication form provide the minutes from the last couple of meetings. And that was after we had reviewed it some and got somewhere. So it wasn't an easy topic for them to discuss.
So I guess 2 questions that I would have then are, number one, what happens if we don't come to a consensus with the planning commission? But, if they don't want to present us with something that, a recommendation that we agree with, do we then come up with our own ordinance?
Then, after what it says, if the city commission returns the planning commission's recommendation, the planning commission may resubmit its original recommendation, given the reasons therefore, or submit a new or amended recommendation. But then, at that point, upon the receipt of such recommendation, the city commission, then you can it basically acts like a regular ordinance. Then you can adopt, you can revise it, you can do whatever you want with it. And you can just do it by a simple majority. So it goes back, the zoning ordinance with the public hearing and the input in it and their recommendation then puts some parameters on your ordinance of how you act upon it. But then if you would return it to the planning commission, then when it comes back, then it's just like a regular ordinance. You can do whatever you want. You can vote it down, vote it up. Revise it.
So I think probably I guess what I'm hearing from my fellow commissioners is that we would like to see this sent back to them, but I think we need to send it back to them with recommendations for what we want, and not just a
Sure.
carte blanche statement, we don't like it, please figure it out. Let's tell them the direction that we feel like, so that way they don't feel like we're hanging them out to dry, I guess.
Right.
So I guess I would ask my fellow commissioners, then, are there some suggestions that you see so far, whether it be on the ordinance, 1796 or 1797, that causes you some concerns that we can give them as recommendations when we send it back to them and ask them to revisit it?
Well, the 1,000 feet has an issue with me. I mean, if we do the gray area where we've got so many things that could come into play, and the distancing is,
I think a lot of that can be mitigated by just changing or adding specific definitions to remove those things that are sold.
and that's where we can, yeah, that's a
You know,
suggestion.
but you have to find that avenue there. One of the things that I think they should look into is like a difference between, like what I would consider merchandise, like what you guys are selling in the is like in merchandising, compared to like lack of a better term, like going to a strip club and things like that. I think that there needs to be a distinction between, just selling something and then receiving, something for
Live entertainment.
live entertainment. Thank you. It's very difficult to say. I don't know why, but anyways.
That is part of the reason why I had suggested they want to include all these definitions so that you could delineate it as to what type of establishment this is, right?
Right.
Because again, very nature of it and all that other stuff, there is going to be a difference as opposed to actual merchandise store versus workers and those types of things, right?
Right.
Or, again, anything like that.
Yep. But I guess the way that this reads right here is it's if you fall under any of these, then you are considered adult entertainment.
So that's why your point is right. I personally think you're on the right track of saying, okay, we need to reestablish what it is, right?
Yep.
Fix the definitions, then address the semantics after the definition.
Yes.
If you're not a business that meets this definition, then we don't care how far or close you are to anything, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So that's what, again,
Yeah. I think
figure out what the definition is first. So what qualifies, then regulate the qualification.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree with that statement.
I would say, too, something that I have a little issue with probably is the yearly licensing fee. I think we have things that come into effect where we talk about what your sin tax is, whether we're selling cigarettes or alcohol, and I don't know where that falls in line with those other licensing fees, but I think that's quite a bit higher than what we charge.
That'd be probably on the next one, right?
That's 17,
Yeah.
1797.
So I guess I would take a little issue with that as well. I think that probably needs to fall closer in line with some of those the other sin taxes that we have already. I don't know that having it so out of line with that probably it's not fair. So
Does that give you?
Gives good direction, just want to make sure it's complete for you guys, and
Yes.
it's what you want to submit back to the planning commission for their consideration.
I think the defining the difference is a big thing for a lot of us, is what I'm getting.
Yeah. Right now, it reads as like there's 5 things you could be, but all these 5 things read as you're established as adult entertainment. And I don't think that's the way we need to approach it. There should be just spitballing, but like I said, there's adults, I don't know what you want to call it, adult merchandising, there is the adult entertainment, but like there's many categories I just think that need to be explored. And we need to figure out something that makes sense for Goodland and what we have in Goodland, potentially.
If you want to do that, Mayor, I would suggest someone make a recommendation to do, or a motion to do so, to return it to the planning commission.
Well, I would make a motion then to table ordinance 1796 and 1797 and send them back to the planning commission with our recommendations.
Second?
Have a second from Commissioner Myers. Roll please, Shawna.
Redland,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Move on to formal actions. Number 6, the bid award for the drainage expansion in the industrial park project. Our fearless leader, Kent.
We will defer while I'm scrolling to Andrew with EBH, who took the bids.
Yeah. So from what you remember, we have some money left over from the base grant, and so we came up with, one thing that wasn't taken care of with the project was adding future stormwater detention or retention for the, I'm gonna call the southwest portion of the industrial park. We were, future plans, just gonna say if people needed borrow dirt to build up their lots, to start digging that thing out, and eventually we'd get to where we got. But since the state came back, or Department of Commerce came back to us and said, hey, use our money, we bid out fairly similar to the detention pond that we have out there currently. We had 3 bidders. So as you can see, Eberly out of Oakley, Miller here in Goodland, and Spore in Oakley. Spore came in at the low at $43,000. Now that's still less than what the state wants us to spend. So we're going to do a little bit more. Going to get with Kenton as well on some other little things that we can do to kind of get to that dollar amount. So, but right now, like I said, our low bid is Spore Land Development, and I guess that'd be my recommendation, is to approve them for this project. So we do have this. This has to be done before the end of the year. We had a completion date of it of October 31st. Just so that way we weren't skirting that line too close. So.
Anybody have any questions for Andrew? With that, I would make a motion to approve the bid for Spore Land Development for $43,000 for the drainage project.
Second.
And a second from Commissioner Redland. Shawna, roll please.
Showalter,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland.
Yes.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, we'll move on to item B, the street chip seal project for 2025.
I would turn that over to Kenton, Director of Streets.
Okay.
Good evening.
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 Well, I guess I'll start off by kind of giving you guys the rundown where I'm at. Usually, in the past, we haven't brought to the commission on what we're doing and everything as far as this, but back for the longest time, we've been using Capico oil for our chip seal. Well, when the pandemic hit, they couldn't get us our chip oil one year, and we had to go with Ergon oil. Well, he said he thought he could get us our fog oil, which he did. He was able to do the fog. So we went Ergon on the chip, the Capico fog over the top of the Ergon chip. And so from there, I was able to, the next 2 years, kind of do the same thing, because the Ergon oil was cheaper than the Capico oil, but the Capico oil was cheaper on the fog because they did it for the same price as the price of the oil. But with the Ergon fog, we have to hire a contractor to come in to do it. So it costs a little bit more. So, which I think there's you want to pull that up to the
CCCF.
The CCCF one.
Probably has a.
This spreadsheet is kind of the streets that I have right now as the streets we're going to do. but there should be another one with the,
Page 73 of the packet.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So the Ergon oil came in this year since 2023 when I did this. I tried to do the fog oil again with Cabico, and they come back and said, "You didn't buy my chip from us this year. We're not doing that anymore." So I had to end up getting Ergon oil and then paying B&H to come put that on. So it ended up costing us a little bit more. So from now on, I have to bid out Ergon with B&H doing the whole thing, and then Cabico doing the whole thing. So, and that's where I'm at right now. So the Ergon oil came in at $2.88, more or less. And then the fog oil was $2.86. And this is based off of 60,000 square yards here. I just kind of went apple to apple on this, so all these numbers are off 60,000 square yards. So for the Ergon oil total, because I had to pay for B&H paving the plight at the fog seal at 20 cents a square yard, it's $12,000 on top of the Ergon oil and fog oil. So we're looking at $100,000.59. And then Cabico sold out to Black Rock, and their price on the oil was $3.27, and then the chip oil is $3.71. They come out and apply the fog, so literally if you add those two out, it's $102,966, $3,000 difference between the two. So there's not much different, but so Ergon's the cheapest, and so I'm recommending going Ergon. It's only $3,000 cheaper, but reason that last time we did all Ergon oil, we haven't had any chip rock loss or anything. I think it's still a good product. I don't know if you guys seen any of the 2023 streets that we done, but I have not seen any rock loss on it. So I think we're still good to go with Ergon oil. Prices, the oil prices are way higher, but yet on with the Black Rock, but it still comes out cheaper with the Ergon, barely. So that's more or less what I'm kind of wanting. Wanting to know that you guys are good with going with the Ergon oil again. So, and then I did give you guys pull out went back to 2020 when we did Cabico oil for both the chip and fog, and the chip was $2.39 in 2020, and the fog was $2.35. If you look now, they have gone up way over $1 since 2020 a gallon. So
Seems to be a story of about everything.
yeah. And I did, you see the Black Rock Complete project? Since Black Rock bought Cabico out, which they said that, you know, Black Rock does chip seals and do the same thing B&H Paving does. And that $345,000 was their bid for a 60,000 square yard project. That's how much they want. Right now, I'm setting at about 65,000 square yards. Should be able to do it for around 190,000. So, and that was with them bringing rock, doing the whole thing, everything. That was their bid price. It was, I don't know how any municipality can afford that. So, but
Anybody have any questions for Kenton? Kenton, certainly appreciate you taking the time to get bids from these companies. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to track all those numbers down, but it's, you know, kind of.
it kind of keeps them all in check, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried for the last couple of years getting the fog seal at the cheaper rate, and now they finally caught on to me saying, you gotta buy both if you're gonna get the one, so.
Appreciate that.
Do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the chip seal purchase from B&H Paving?
From Ergon.
Oh, I'm sorry, from Ergon,
For using Ergon oil.
for using Ergon oil. There we go. So I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of Ergon oil for the chip seal project.
A second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Redland, second from Commissioner Archer. Shawna, roll please.
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Police vehicles, purchase and lease requests. This might be you. Okay.
Well, I'm hoping that the police chief will come up and explain the purchase of police vehicles.
Saying that this man was clocking involved.
This is Chief Earhart. Thank you for coming to the podium today.
I've been sitting over there for 50 minutes looking for Brooke Redland. And
It's hard to distinguish with no facial hair, isn't it?
it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
So I'm asking for 3 vehicles. One, we are going to purchase out of Murph outright this year. And the other 2 would be a lease of purchase from Western State Bank, I believe, which we would pull funds in 26 and 27. I did get bids from, I think I had 3 or 4 locations in the CCCF. Dan Brenner did come in with the best price. I did add a ballistic door panel on the driver's side door, so that did increase that to, it was over $1,000, which is a pretty important feature. Right now we have 7 vehicles. We have 2 2017s that are 75,000. We have 2018 that has 100,000 miles. We have a 2018 that has 85,000 miles, and then the ones in the CCCF, the 2016s one has 102, 116, and 118. Our primary function as law enforcement is depending on our vehicles, obviously. They're not only up in age, but the interior is shot in the 2016s. There's holes in the seats, obviously, and very outdated equipment. So the additional funds would be, we would like to take this to the upfitter in Garden City, JR Audio, and that would be an additional, I think, we estimated around 15,000, and when we get those back, it will be completely road ready. It will have all the lights, everything in it. Typically in the past, or typically in the last 2 we bought, the 2022s, we got those with lights that came from Ford, at the factory Ford, and that was pretty expensive. So actually JR Audio can outfit these cars and do some pretty amazing things with the lights and the features of the lights, safety features. That's pretty neat. So.
And there's quite a bit of electronics that goes into each vehicle. Somebody's talking about outfitting the vehicles. That includes lights, that includes radio communications, that includes data communications. And it also includes, I'm forgetting one other thing, and the wrap.
No, well, so we can do the wrap
as well.
That's an option.
Yeah.
We typically do the wrap through Commercial Sign, but he does do wrap. So if we decided to go that route, then it would actually be completely ready. The only thing it would come back and be lacking was the wrap of the vehicle. So as I explained, with the tariffs and the different things coming up, it's kind of hard telling how much a vehicle is going to be. And we're coming up on 7 vehicles that are over 70,000 miles. I think we need to try to at least get ahead of it a little bit. By 2028, you're going to have vehicles with 140, 150,000 miles on them.
What do we do with the old vehicles? Like
those go
60s?
on Purple Wave, and then they go back into our equipment. I did speak to Kent. I don't know if there's anybody in the city that sometimes we give them, or other departments
end up with
purchase them.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure how that works. Mary? So, I just said that because she's watching. But, yeah, so typically so I talked to Ken, I asked Kent, you want an Explorer instead of that black pickup, things like that, so.
That's a decision to be determined later, so.
Yeah, because we have to strip out all the equipment and all that stuff, so.
Kent, budget question for you. And I don't have my book with me tonight, but does this fit within the constraints of the budget we've already passed, or is this something that we pass this tonight and that's got to be considered for the upcoming year budget?
It will be part of the upcoming budget for the payments in 26 and 27, but the MRF will take care of the payment in 25. So the current budget, 2025, will not be affected, but it will be the upcoming budgets. There'll still be a little bit left in MRF.
Yeah, it's coming out of MRF and then 10,000 out of our budget. So it doesn't affect the budget as passed right now.
Okay. I appreciate that you got a bid for vehicles with a ballistic door panel. Don't bid doors or don't bid cars without that again, so. I appreciate that you got that done.
Well, I actually thought it came standard with that, and then when I asked, he said no, and he told me the price. So that's why I added, it was 1,000 less on everybody's, but that's just, honestly, I thought that was standard.
No.
I also appreciate that we have the potential to do this locally. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the purchase of the 3 police vehicles.
Second.
From Dan Brenner.
From Dan Brenner, Ford, sorry.
Second.
I have a motion by me, second by Commissioner Howard. Shauna, roll please.
Archer?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Redlin?
Yes.
Showalter?
Yes.
In that motion, did they not need to approve the upfitting? Because that's done at a different location.
Amend or add additional motion that also approves the outfitting at JR Audio.
We'll figure this whole parliamentary procedure thing out eventually. I would like to amend my earlier motion and add that the upfitting at JR Audio be included on the 3 vehicles that we purchased from Dan Brenner Ford as well.
Second.
Yeah.
Shauna, you take roll once again.
Sure. Archer?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Redlin?
Yes.
Showalter?
Yes. Thank you. All right, after that, let's move on to the discussion items. Move on to item B, the power supply contract. Yeah.
Correct. Because we didn't announce at the beginning of the meeting that item A, the school superintendent asked to be taken off the agenda because that item doesn't need to be considered until this summer.
Okay.
So, we included some information in your packets as far as the contract proposal that was asked to have the actual proposal provided by KMEA, and we were still waiting for the proposal from Sunflower. Go ahead and take one and pass it down. This is just, the first part of Sunflower's response is just a letter, which kind of provides some information as far as what was presented at last meeting, and some corrections as far as what they have. Staff is going through the budget proposal, or the contract proposal from Sunflower and Prairie Land. And since we just had today, we do not have any recommendations regarding additional things within the contract. So I don't really have any additional information to provide regarding that. Do want to ask if this brought up any additional questions from the commissioners for staff regarding KMEA's proposal. That was the one they were able to have in the packet. Or if you have thought of any additional questions or concerns or comments since last meeting.
I did some research, or I guess some more reading and trying to understand what all this was. And I think something that could help is if we had the opportunity to talk with commissioners from other cities that have had to make this decision, either if they've stayed with Sunflower or gone with KMEA, just to see their experience. Is that something we're able to do?
We could. One concern I have regarding that is, do you want us to talk with those who have left Sunflower or who have stayed with Sunflower or both?
I'd
And what would be
both.
the bias that would come from who you spoke to? That's my concern as far as staff.
Yeah.
Are we able to present adequate information? And is there anything specific you would want us to ask them regarding that?
Let me think on it for a second.
Right, and you can provide that over the next couple of weeks
Yeah.
too, and just email it if it's not coming right away. That's
Yeah. I just think it could help at least me get some better understanding with some other
Sure.
views on how this went. But yeah, I'll email you with some of those questions.
Sure. The 4 documents that were provided by KMEA, there were 3 agreements and 1 resolution. The 3 agreements affect different parts as far as how they set up working with us. So that can be a little confusing in and of itself. And it was, that was almost 100 pages worth of information to go through. That was quite a bit of information to go through. Sunflowers is not any, it's a little bit less, but it's not any less. It's a bucket full of information. And Director of Power, Dustin Bedore, as well as Shauna Johnson being involved with the utility billing and everything involving that part of the power contract. We are trying to put it together so that there's adequate information for you and in a digestible size so it makes sense. But I can say that staff does not feel comfortable making any additional recommendations at this point. We have a lot of information to go through. Does that make sense?
Can I add a question, just in general? Is there anything that we can do with either one of these contracts that could possibly ensure that the February 21 event would never happen to us again?
I think there's protections in both that address that. But like has been said in a previous meeting, there may be a different set of circumstances that surprise us. And that's where our current review of the Sunflower contract, we're trying to figure out, is there anything that leaves a hole for us as a customer to provide that, or with KMEA. KMEA tries their best with a fixed contract that covers a certain amount of time period. But that doesn't mean that there's not another set of circumstances that could provide us with a problem, or with KMEA themselves as our agent working within the marketplace. But I think both entities are trying to address it in contractual language so that it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
But I don't think there can be 100% guarantee. I don't know. Dustin, do you have any other opinion regarding that?
I think with some of the concern, like with Winter Storm Uri, was like gas prices spiked and stuff like that. If we were able to run on our own, we wouldn't have natural gas to use here in town because we were pinched off, so we'd have been running on diesel. But we could have curtailed our cost on that if we weren't in the current contract. But there has been stuff done that will help, try to eliminate most of the odds of that happening again, but it could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, SPP's come out and done like winter testing and stuff like that, because all of the testing needs to be done in the summer. So they want to make sure that your engines can run at capacity during the winter time too. So there's steps being done to help protect all of the municipalities. So, but nothing's 100%.
Thanks, Dustin. So what I'm hearing from you, Kent, is that there's a lot of information. You guys need more time to go through to look at things, and perhaps we can have a recommendation at some point moving forward down the road.
Yes, we should be able to have much more solid standing as far as how to advise you at the next meeting.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Kent about the power contract?
No, I just have this comment that I'd like to make. It really irritates me that they knew that they were taking us, and they were overcharging us, and they've known that for several years, is what it says, several years ago. We've been in this contract since, 2014? 2012. So, they had the chance to make things right and to amend the contract, and they chose not to. So I just want to put that out there for everyone to think about.
Don't necessarily disagree with that, but I would also say that we bear some burden in that responsibility as well, because we were the ones who signed the contract and made the deal. So I certainly think that moving forward that we try to steer away from a contract of that length ever again, because it locked us in for a very long time and it left us very little wiggle room to ever try to fix things. So
Agreed.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, thank you. Move on to discussion item C, the financial system software change.
This has been presented and discussed by the city clerk department as well as myself. The financial system software that the city uses that handles the general ledger, the utility billing, the accounts payable, payroll, municipal court, and a number of other accounting functions needs to be upgraded. We have worked with our current software system back when they were a different company. Actually, a couple different companies ago. Simple City in the 90s. It was owned by Data Technologies. They were purchased by G-Works about a decade ago, and it was working smoothly for us. However, in 2020, they started needing to make some serious upgrades to the software based on different accounting requirements and accounting changes, and also what customer requests, and basically make it accessible through a cloud type of arrangement. We were one of the first cities that was to move basically the front desk portal, which we basically use as a customer portal right now, in which the city has instituted for the utility billing customers. They were still developing the other portals, like the general ledger and finance and the utility billing and the HR portion of it. They said it was proceeding and that they would be able to move us over the last 2 years, basically. It has not happened as of this point. But we had an increased cost in order to supposedly make it happen. That has not followed through. Because of that and because of additional problems, we've come across a number of other cities in Kansas and Missouri that are switching from this provider. There seems to be a general focus among a number of their customers that there are serious problems with this organization. And staff have started to look at different types of software. They've had one presented that seems real promising, and starting to work through that through Edmunds GovTech. That's kind of the synopsis about, or the summary where we're at currently. It would cost some additional funds in order to make the change. Obviously, you go through a new provider, it's always additional cost. But they have had a number of good reports, and they've also been made some parts of this change over a decade ago. But would be an additional initial investment. After that, the annual cost would be approximate, just a little bit more, $1,000 more per year, which isn't a huge amount. But that initial cost would be quite a bit more, or an additional $37,000. So that's basically the summary or synopsis. I don't know if Deputy City Clerk Shauna Johnson has anything additional to what was provided.
Might just say that there is an increase in price, but we're adding some features. Zach for sure will be able to do a lot more with it, so.
Yeah, currently the building official department does not connect with the software that's provided, so that you can look by address and have the billing for permits on the same, be able to access it the same way you do with the financial software and the utility billing software. So that type of interconnectivity between departments is one thing that we were promised as far as the change. So
We lose the ability to have municipal court tied into that though, right?
correct. We gain one, we lose another.
What are we currently doing with municipal court and G-Works?
Basically, we're recording it, and then it also has an accounting function as far as the fines for municipal court.
When G-Works upgrades, we lose the court then also. So
Okay.
either way we go, we lose the court.
They don't like court, no.
Nobody likes court, do
I
they?
don't know.
When do we anticipate that we'll be able to have some information on that and there'll be a changeover, or?
Well, the next thing for us to do is present an actual contract proposal. We didn't want to do that without getting some initial response from the commission and as far as what the steps were taken to approach this. Because this is a huge change. This is not, I mean, every single day, there's probably a half dozen employees in this building that deal with this financial software system.
What does that mean for our customers? What does a changeover for them look like?
Huge. It would be resetting up their entire, I don't know if you use Front Desk, but it would be resetting up all their entire ACH, everything that they have currently. It would be a complete changeover.
Yeah, basically resetting the bank numbers and the different types of things to make that work.
We did it once, we can do it again.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's needed, so, within the city at least.
The city clerk staff continues to have issues on a weekly basis, if not daily, with different sorts of problems with the current system. Now, most of those aren't taking an overwhelming amount of time, but it does take away from what we do. And it doesn't mean that there won't be problems with any software system. There are. It's just the consistency of the problems, and that some of the issues, we end up having to help the software persons figure out an answer. And that's not a good position to be in, so, and it's more regarding figuring out, making sure that it all works smoothly and it doesn't affect our customers. That's one of the biggest issues, so. The city clerk staff does quite a bit to make sure that that doesn't happen. And if there is a mistake, it gets corrected as soon as possible.
So for those not currently using the online system, if they just stay with the paper billing system, that's not really gonna be a change for them?
I don't think so, and hardly any change, and then, even for the folks changing the numbers, it's just a matter of actually going through the sign-up process again.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we'll be able to do some of that for them. Because we do have older people that we set this up for them to begin with, so we'll be able to do the other also.
I guess was my concern was what does that look for, like for an elderly person that
Right.
doesn't use the computer a lot? Are we gonna
They'll still
cause
be,
big
and
inconvenience?
that was the biggest thing going to front desk is they had to have an email and they had to log in and they had to do it all. We were able to work around that, and the system that we looked at, it's automatic. We can go in, set it up. We don't have to have their approval. We don't, which is nice because yeah, a lot of the older generation just don't use it.
Yeah.
They want it automatically taken out and they don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation with my parents today. They said they're all password out, so no more accounts
Yeah.
that require passwords. So I understand that.
I'm there too.
We have any questions for Kent on the software change?
Nope.
Okay. Keep us updated and we'll be ready to move forward.
Okay.
All right. We'll move on to reports. I tell you what, let's start with Kent.
Including your packet is the manager memo. We also had a request, and I included a little bit of information form in your packet regarding golf carts. I would ask Police Chief Earhart to also provide some input regarding this, but I provided you the background, especially since we have a new commissioner who wasn't involved in that decision regarding the golf carts. But there was, got to a point regarding the golf carts, so we've had a request to look into it, but regarding the requirements required in the ordinance, so Chief Earhart.
Hi.
Hello.
So to date, I haven't had one golf cart registered. Yet I get people telling me that they're out there. So hence prompted me to put my Facebook post out about them. So I think there was a request to take away the seat belts aspect. Was that the only thing? It's been a while since I've.
Windshield and seat belts.
Yeah.
The shoulder harness part of those.
Yeah, I think everybody was here except for Ms. Hartzer, but I'm not for the ordinance as it stands anyway. And taking away seatbelts is a horrible idea. And taking away, I mean, a windshield. Some of them have half windshields and some of them don't. Some of them don't have a windshield. We can work with that. By helmets and sunglasses and things like that, but the the way it stands right now, I think it just needs to be left alone. Especially, the the seatbelt aspect of it. Absolutely, there shouldn't be any changes to that. And I know I've went on a couple and they've been denied due to seatbelts, and it is what it is. And I do know when I did research on this, they do offer golf carts with lap belts and shoulder belts. That's for sale and available. So I don't know if there's like I told the others, if there's an addition that they can get those in, or put a 5-point harness, whatever they want to do. The 5-point harness and a golf cart, that would be cool. But, you know, I don't know if there's a way for them to do that or not. That's not my realm of expertise. So.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the windshield wiper that's, no, but they need seat belts, some sort of shoulder belt. And you can buy, for older cars, you can buy a kit to put a shoulder belt on.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can with the golf carts. It's probably just a money. I don't know what it is. So, but yeah, definitely not for the seatbelt aspect of it. And I work with people on windshields. So.
You know, they say that well, if they're rollover, they don't have a roll cage or anything, but if you roll on its side and you're sliding, you're gonna get drug out from underneath it if you don't have a shoulder belt.
Yeah. Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
I concur.
I see no reason to change the ordinance. We're a little bit too big of a town to have that kind of stuff going on, I think.
Well, I didn't vote for it in the first place, so you don't have to.
Me neither.
We're gonna have a revote.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Just wanted to bring it up in order to, if we wanted to have a more formal discussion about it, to do so.
I think the consensus is at this point, I think we're good where we're at.
And the rest of the items on about the budget calendar, the spring cleanup is not this week, but next week, May 1st and 2nd. And then the League of Kansas Municipalities City Forum will be held here at City Hall on June 4th.
Do we need to go to that as commissioners?
The word,
If you'd
operative
like to.
word would be
Should
me.
we go to that as commissioners?
It'd be a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
If the commissioners come help with cleanup day, do they get to operate heavy equipment?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Not covered under insurance.
That'd be a Mary question, that's interesting.
I got my own liability.
It's not here.
That's a hard no. You'll be heavy equipment you'll be handling are these.
Mary told me I could act on her behalf, and I say yes.
She will come back to work quicker.
Boy. She's already driving.
She's already driving.
Hey, Kent, I do have one follow-up. Do I need to respond to that individual, or does the commissioner need to respond? The email?
I don't remember what it was required, so we'll take care of it in the morning as far as
Okay.
how to respond back.
Mary did say no.
Boy, she's good.
Do we have an update that you wanted to?
Yeah, so I did speak with Brandon and Kayla Cowan at the property of 1004 Kansas that we did put the bids out for. They did sign their agreement sheet that I had created for them. They have opted to demolish it themselves.
Okay.
In lieu of opening the bids at the next commission meeting. I said we'll give them 60 days to have it torn down and completed. Otherwise, at the end of that 60 days, then we'll go ahead with opening the bids and moving forward on that process. I asked the city attorney, he said as long as we do not open the bids, then we can leave them closed and the bid will still be open and allow them the chance to do it. But if we open those bids, then we have to go forward with the demo
Somebody else.
with those bids.
Okay.
Does that seem fair to you guys, or do you think
Yeah.
I should go a different direction?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good.
Do we have any questions for our city manager on his report? Okay. Move on to commissioner reports. I'll start on my right with Commissioner Artser.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner Myers?
Nothing here.
Mr. Redlin?
I have nothing at this time.
Commissioner Howard?
Nothing at this time.
And I don't have anything for the mayor's report, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Commissioner Myers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Redlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.